over to Mr. Cheney, and I will hear evidence and testimony from Mr. Cheney and any witnesses that he wishes to present at that time. While one party is testifying, please do not interrupt or unmute yourself so that you are interjecting, because that will obviously be disruptive not only to the proceedings, but to me being able to hear and to you being able to hear what's being said by that person. I need an opportunity for everyone to be able to be heard while we were in this proceeding, so that you will know how to respond on once it is your turn to do so. Once I have heard the testimony of Ms. Schelling, if she has any witnesses, of course, I will hear from them. And then at that point, if Mr. Cheney has questions of those witnesses, we can go through that as well. But for this purpose, please keep in mind that everyone will have a chance to be heard, and you do not need to unmute or interrupt yourself, interrupt the other party while they are testifying. And in case I didn't mention this a moment ago, while one party is testifying, the other party is to remain on mute. And I do see that you've already done that, Mr. Cheney. Thank you. All right. So with that, let's go ahead and jump right in. Ms. Schelling, I just swore you in. Do you wish to give testimony as to this case?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Can you tell me, how do you know Mr. Cheney?
He's my kid's father.
All right. And at some point, did you reside together?
We've been separated since 2017.
Okay. And how many children do you have together?
I have 4 with him, but I also take care of his youngest son, which is not mine.
Okay. So you have 4 children with him, plus a stepson that you take care of?
Yes, ma'am.
And at this time, are all 5 of those children with you?
No, ma'am. He still has my 2 older sons.
And what are their ages?
17 and 14.
Okay. All right. And why did you request the initial ex parte protective order?
Okay, so he's keep interfering with my custody. He be harassing me through text and my family through text messages. He has my boys lying to the authorities, running away from home, and stealing from me.
Stealing from you?
Yes, ma'am. And I keep on getting these defects cases. He keep on calling defects, and he's overusing the power of the police department also.
When was the last time there was a defects complaint made against you?
On the 9th, when I was approved my TPO.
Okay. And was that made on behalf of all of the children or a specific child, or?
The one from the 9th was just from Javier. The police brought him home on the 8th. And that morning he left out at 6:30 when his bus don't come to between 7:18 and 7:20, saying that he just needed to get some time alone, want to get out the house. And I really didn't want to argue with him that morning. So I told him to go ahead, but he wasn't damaged or clothes wasn't ripped off or anything when he walked out my house. So after I had my TPO appointment was at 12, at around 2-3 o'clock, defect was at my door saying that Javier was jumped on the night before, and that never happened. And he also sent the police to my house on Tuesday night talking about doing a well check on Malcolm.
And which Tuesday night?
Just passed.
The 29th?
Yes, ma'am.
And how old is Malcolm?
7.
And you said that there had been harassing text messages. When did those begin?
They never stopped. I called myself trying to co-parent with him, and and it just made everything worse. Because I'm sorry.
What type of text messages are these?
So he'll send me text messages like he told me that he has a good friend in defects, and it's a lot of text messages. So let me just go to one. So the last text message I had received from him, it was on August the 9th. He said, "How the TPO coming, no weapon form, bitch, told you better the devil you know." So I get text messages like that. A couple of text messages ago, he called me a slave for taking care of my kids with no help of his. It's a lot of text messages.
What was the most recent text message you received?
That was on August the 9th when he was asking how the TPO was coming. Because when defects came over on the 9th, I told him that I just got granted my TPO, and Javier claimed that my nephew jumped on him the night before. And I'm telling him that it didn't happen. So he wanted to talk to Javier. Javier was supposed to be at band practice. So the defense worker followed me from my home to Columbia High School, and he wasn't there. So then he followed me from the school to Roger House, and that's where he was at. And so I told the caseworker that, I have a TPO, but I didn't receive it until the 11th. So he went without my approval. He said that he was making a safety plan, and the safety plan was he won't leave my boys with Roger until the proof of the TPO. Roger got served the TPO on the 12th, and I was trying to call the defense worker all that weekend and that Monday. He didn't call me back until late Monday, telling me that, well, they got the TPO, but now that Roger has a affidavit, and that that's the reason why I couldn't get my kids. So then he called me back Tuesday and told me that I can go get my kids, but defense is no longer involved. I also have Sergeant Daniels involved, because I did do a runaway on my boys on August the 2nd when they ran away on the 1st. So Sergeant Daniels told me to go and get my boys, and I went, and I attempted to go get them, but the DeKalb County Police told me that I couldn't because defense put them in their custody, and they told me that they had to come over there and get the boys. But I've been just going back and forth with the DeKalb County Police and defense since the 9th.
Okay. And is there a parenting plan in place?
What you mean?
At some point, was a parenting plan established as to who had custody on what days and all of that?
No, ma'am. I have full custody. He's not even legitimized yet.
There's been no legitimation. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. The only thing that he has done as so far that I know of, he's trying to waive the fees. That's as far as he has gotten, as far as I know.
Okay. But none of these children, none of the 4 children that are yours biologically have been legitimated?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Okay, so you indicated that there had been harassing communications in the form of text messages, and that there had been defects called and police reports made, correct?
Yes, ma'am. It's been defects reports ever since 2017. Also, every time I tell the boys no, he'll tell them yes, and my words just go out the window and they go do what he say.
Okay. All right. And you had submitted some things here into evidence. Did you wish to present those today?
Yes, ma'am. Some of the text messages and those videos is from the 8th when I went to go and get them from school.
Okay, so let's see then. Let's see what we have. Well, let's just start with the top one that you have, Ms. Broom. If you'll bring it up onto the screen, and then we'll pause it and have Ms. Schelling tell us what it is. We don't see anything, Ms. Broom.
Okay, one moment.
Okay. All right, what is this that we're seeing, Ms. Schelling?
That's the text messages from Roderick.
Okay.
It'd be long letters like that when he be texting me.
And what date was this received on?
I'm looking. That text message came in on May 17th.
All right. All right, if you'll go to the next one, Ms. Broom. And what is this text message? When was this?
That was that text came in on July 30th.
And what was this in reference to?
So apparently when I was on vacation in July, some kind of way my cousin ended up sending Roderick my my oldest daughter Snapchat. And that's when, he started saying that I had her posting pictures online, and it was just a whole hot mess.
Okay, so you can go to the next one, Ms. Brown.
That was the reason why defects came at my door on July the 31st.
Okay.
That one was when he called me a slave for taking care of my kids.
And when was this one?
Hold on. That text came in on May 1st.
Okay. All right. And Madam Clerk, if you could go to the first video. Now, these two videos that you've presented into evidence, what are they of?
That was when on August the 8th, when I went to take the boys out of school to bring them home, they was on the phone with their dad the whole time. So that's the video. And the one with my oldest son, Roger, came in an Uber to pick him up. Because he kept sending Ubers. I told him that he didn't have authorization. And that video is my 14-year-old on the phone with Roger, and my nephew Willie ran after him. And that's how I treated him, because the police caught up with him.
All right, go ahead.
Bro, watch out for the mud in the white shoes, man. See, how you hit back up. Yeah, it ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work. You tired, ain't you? Yep, let go then. Why you stop? Let's keep running. Tell him to send another Uber. He got the money. That's your dad on the phone telling you to leave?
Nope.
Who that is?
What they saying?
Oh, okay. You know I done got you saying dad 30 times.
Right.
All right.
I think that's why I should.
You sound tired, man. You gotta breathe. Don't pass out out here.
I won't pass that.
I know CPR though.
Huh?
He know you got on a jacket and black jeans
Right.
and a book bag on.
Right. You know I can change anytime, right?
Yeah, if you pass out, we gonna sue him for
they
child
say if I pass
endangerment.
out- They say if I pass out, we're gonna sue you. I didn't pass out. They say if I pass out, best friend, they're gonna sue my dad. Yeah, for real. You need to be crazy for real. I don't even know why they even pick my dad. I told him you, best friend. You did.
All right, Ms. Bream, if you'll go to the next video. Bream, you can pause the video. All right, Ms. Shelling, what is this?
That's the video of Roger coming to pick up Avery in an Uber or a Lyft.
This is the 17-year-old?
Yes, ma'am, same day.
Okay, all right, Ms. Burnham, you can continue. Thank you.
Get over.
I don't give you consent to get him.
Get in the car.
You don't have consent to take him.
I'm his father. Let's go.
Okay.
I'll see you later.
All right, and when you said that video was on August 8th?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and were you taking that video or was somebody else taking that video?
No, that was me recording him because Javier went the opposite way. So my nephew went after him and I stayed with Adrian, my oldest son.
Okay, all right, so you said that the text messages had been ongoing since 2017.
Well, the harassment with the defects calls been
Oh.
happening since 2017.
All right, so in the last 3 months, has there been anything that's been towards you, or has this all been about the two boys?
It's been with the boys with the last 2 months. I've been trying to get them ever since. So I did allow them to go for the summertime because, you know, it was a lot and I was stressed out and it was overwhelming. So I did allow them to go over there for the summertime. But then when defects came knocking at my door on the 31st, I knew it was going to be an issue with me going to get them from their house. So I asked him to help me retrieve my kids, and he did. And they came home on August the 31st, but you know, they came in like everything was all good. And then that morning, August the 1st, I had to go to work. So I went to work, came home, and they was gone again. And I found out that they went in my room and rammed, and they took all of my boys' social security cards and birth certificates, even Malcolm's.
Who took them?
My boys.
Okay. Okay. All right, anything else?
Other than I do have an open case with interfering with custody.
Okay. All right, and have you had a hearing on that yet, or
No, it's still open.
when you say open, you've applied for the warrant?
No, actually, I think the police did it. I also been talking to Sergeant Daniels, and I think she's here somewhere.
Is the Sergeant Daniels in the?
Okay, we're ready.
Hi, good morning. Sergeant Daniels? If you could unmute for me.
It's Investigator.
Investigator, okay, hi,
Yes,
I'm Judge
ma'am.
Guy. You've been called as a witness today by Miss Tanisha Schelling regarding a request for a protective order that she has against Roderick Cheney.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me go ahead and start by just asking you to raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm any testimony you're about to provide is true and correct under penalty of perjury?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, if you could tell us your name and your job.
Okay, it's Cecile N. Daniels. I'm an investigator at the Cobb County Special Victims Unit.
All right, and are you familiar with Ms. Schelling?
Yes, ma'am.
And how are you familiar with this case?
I am the one that's assigned to the missing persons runaway case and the interference with custody.
And she's called you today as a witness on her behalf. Is there anything you wish to add to the request that she's made for a protective order?
As far as the protective order goes, I know dealing with the case over the last few weeks, based on the emails and texts that I've received from Ms. Schelling, from Mr. Cheney, it's kind of a harassment on the part of, he's pretty much like trying to scare people in doing what he wants. So he's been reaching out to the family members, trying to get them to not be involved, not to help. I've had communication with him along with one of the detectives here, Detective Amy. We were explaining the rules and the laws to him as far as it goes. We expressed certain things to him. He agreed, understood. By the next day, we had another report on our desk in reference to something else. So it's a lot of harassing communication and threats as to what he's going to do or what he's trying to do. It's kind of sounding like it's in reference to a child support hearing that's coming up that kind of stemmed it, that kind of pushed it. I believe it was supposed to be today. So the texting and the calling kind of triggered from that.
Okay. All right. And is there anything that you can add or shed light on further as it relates to this case?
Oh, not as far as the TPO part of it goes, just as it relates to the kids and what he's doing to keep the kids away from her.
All right. And what is he doing to keep the kids away, in your opinion?
So I have different videos of him having coercing the kids to leave. At one point, I just got them back home with mom, and within I would say maybe a few days, The kid said they got assaulted. He's on video telling the kids to come in the car. He's the father, even though we expressed to him that he has to go through the court process to get the kids legitimized for that to happen. I have him on video telling the kids he's the father. He doesn't care. Get in the car with him, which the kids did. As far as the interference with custody part goes, he has a document that he's using to show our officers, because I've sent the police there, and he has a document that he got notarized to say that the kids want to live with him, which I've expressed to him that's not valid. You have to go through the court for that to be determined. But unfortunately, when he shows that with the accusation that the kids got assaulted, the officer leaves the kid with him again. So it's just a back and forth. And then also DFAX is involved. So I'm also working with DFAX, because every time I give one word, there's a new case that becomes open.
Okay. All right. Ms. Schelling, is there anything further that you wish to ask this investigator?
No, ma'am.
All right. And Mr. Cheney, do you have any questions for the investigator?
Yes, ma'am. On what day did you speak to me? Did we have communication?
Detective Amy.
You said that
That
you
was the
spoke to
day
me.
Detective
Yeah.
Amy.
Sir, she's saying she's responding. Give her a second to respond. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Detective Amy, that was the day you emailed Detective Amy the document showing that you had the kids sign a paperwork saying that they wanted to live with you. Detective Amy asked you to email that. Do you remember that? And you emailed that document, and we expressed to you that that is not a document you have to go through the courts.
Negative. I do not recall that. But what I do recall is the children on their own accord going to filing an affidavit of election, which has nothing to do with me, myself. They have to file that themselves. They have to get it notarized on their own
Sir,
accord.
do you have a question for this witness? Because you will have a chance to testify.
Oh, no, ma'am. I don't. No further questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. Thank you, investigator. I appreciate you taking the time to be with us. You're excused.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Ms. Schelling, do you have any other witnesses?
Yes, I have my sister,
All right. What's her name?
Nadia McWilson. Yeah.
All right. If we could bring in Nadia McWilson. Is she at your house?
No, I'm at her house.
Oh, you're at her house. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
We'll go ahead and have her get on the video.
Okay.
Yeah, no longer.
Sir, I need to once again ask you to send the children into another room.
Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Judge Guy. What's your name, please?
I'm Nadia McWilson.
All right, Ms. McWilson, if I could ask you to raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm any testimony is true and correct under penalty of perjury?
I do. Get my phone.
All right. Now, you've been called as a witness for Tanisha Schelling on this matter involving Roderick Cheney. What do you wish to add to the hearing today?
Well, I was there most of these calls with the police when we went to go try to get the children. So I was a witness to a lot of that. When we went to the school to check them out of school, I was there for that. I was the one who followed Javier and my son in the car until the police came. So I'm just here as moral support for my sister. And then by me being moral support for my sister, I have also been getting harassing text messages from Mr. Cheney. I didn't have the opportunity to get them to you all, but I have two. He just sent me one Saturday. And I just want him to stop texting my phone. I haven't blocked him yet, but I was going to block him after this, but I didn't block him in order to have the evidence of him harassing me as well. He also sends harassing text messages to my mom.
And on Saturday, when he sent you the text message, what did it say?
It say, did you tell my sons to kiss ass to get through life on some peasant shit? Or did you tell him that you made decision not to allow me to attend my son's birthday party after giving you and that roach all money? Kate bet. Let's see how far kissing ass gets you and yours. Like your 49-year-old brother still staying at your mother's house. Since you want to be involved so much, then take the responsibility for the false dependence you've been claiming on your income taxes the past few years. Welcome to the family. And then he posted my address, which I don't know how he got it because I just moved. I've been here a year and nobody has my address. And then he says, that's where your business is at. Don't ever come for me or mine's again. I'm asking nicely. Rare form like you never seen before.
Okay, thank you. Anything else you wish to add?
I don't.
All right, Mr. Cheney, do you have any questions of this witness?
Yes, ma'am. What was the purpose of checking them out of school on that date?
Because that's what she was told to do by the detective, because they was not at home and she was trying to get them back home.
Okay, and on the following date, when Javier was forced back to the house, what was the purpose of checking them out of school before lunch again on that day?
What are you talking about? I only went to the school one time.
I'm talking about the second day when your son chasing my son around up and
That was
down
the
the
same
street.
day.
Okay, never mind. I guess you don't recall, but you went up to the school on 2 particular days. I'm asking on the second day, on Tuesday, on the 8th, what was the purpose of checking them back out of school again before lunchtime?
That was the only day I went to check them out, and we was following the directions of Investigator Daniels.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you, ma'am. You're excused. You can put Ms. Shelling back.
Thank you.
Ms. Shelling, do you have any other witnesses?
No, ma'am,
And why do you believe that this protective order is necessary?
because he's not gonna stop.
And just so that I'm clear, you have, you've told me about the 17-year-old and the 14-year-old, and then there's a 7-year-old. What are the other ages?
Okay, so I have 11-year-old and my middle daughter finna be 9, so she's 8 right now.
All right, thank you. Mr. Cheney, before I start testimony from you, I'm going to take a brief break to handle a couple of consent orders, and then we'll be right back. This time, I have completed hearing the testimony given by Ms. Shelling and Mr. Cheney. You were previously sworn. You can go forward with your testimony.
Yes, ma'am. If you could you pull up Exhibit A,
Madam Clerk.
which is the audio.
Is this one that you sent in, sir?
Yes, it'll be audio that was sent in by the respondent.
Okay.
All right, and what is that a video of?
Okay, ma'am, that is actually Exhibit D. That's the video evidence of the contrary to the children being unsafe in my care. This is my 11-year-old daughter beating my 8-year-old daughter in the face, and posting this on Snapchat. Hence to the reasons why Ms. Shelling has been getting a little criticism.
All right, and what date was that taken?
This was taken, this is July I received this on July the 30th.
July 30th?
Yes.
And do you recall the Snapchat date that it was actually posted?
I do not have that exactly, ma'am. There's a actual police case in this matter, and they will have a whole lot more detail than I do.
Say a police case, you mean against your 11-year-old daughter?
Well, not her, but the grown men that she's texting back and forth with. Hello? What just happened? Hold on, ma'am. The screen just went blank or something. Just hold on a second. Okay. I found out that my 11-year-old daughter was texting back and forth to grown men on Snapchat and Instagram, and we're talking naked photos here, which I could not include in the filings because it would have been child porn. This took place right before Father's Day of this year, when Ms. Shelling came and picked the girls, including and Malcolm, up from over here and left the boys, and took them out to Riverdale, Georgia, where they were not supervised at all. I saw my 11-year-old daughter. She called my son at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I happened to pick up the Instagram call, and she was outside in the street lights at 5:15 in the morning. Confronted their mother with this, and she proceeded to pick my daughters up from Riverdale and take them to her mother in Lithonia, which is where this video was taken of Alasia attacking Avia. But I would like to go back to Exhibit A if possible, which is the audio. It should just be an
Okay.
audio
Ms.
file.
Brim, if you could go to the audio.
Okay.
So what?
So where's this Uber?
It's on the way.
How far out?
It'll be here in about 5 minutes to pick up the key to bring the key to you.
Oh, that's you finna be short, honey. You ain't got but 10 minutes to get away. 11 minutes. You said 20 minutes.
Your Honor, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so yes, that is Exhibit A. That's the audio from 5/16, May 16th of 2023, when Ms. Shelling put the two boys out of the home and retrieved their and took their house keys with nothing more than the clothes on their back. Um, so
Okay.
so to speak to them, the police reports and the officer that's involved, the police reports are bogus because they're not runaways. She put them out and they were not coerced. If we can move to Exhibit B, please, which
All
is
right.
the police report taken on August the 9th, 2023.
All right. Ms. Brim?
You said it's a Uber?
It's a police report.
Oh, the card. Okay.
It's dated 8/9/23. That's gonna be Exhibit H right there.
Okay. So that is not the one, Ms. Brim. We need the police report.
No, that's just the card. And the reason I sent that card is because I could not figure out the numbers to save my life. So if you all can figure out what that report number is, it will indicate that on the 9th, no, I'm sorry, on the 22nd of August, Ms. Shelling showed up again harassing the boys over here after being told by defects to no longer come to my residence or to show up to the boys' school due to the incident that took place on the 8th, which I'll get back to. I'll get back to that here shortly. But if we can get to Exhibit B.
Can you see this, Judge?
I can.
Okay.
Will you go to the second page, please?
Okay, ma'am, this is the police report indicating that the children were placed in my care on the 9th due to the assault that took place at Ms. Shelling's home on the 8th. When you're done with that, if we can move to Exhibit C.
All right. We can move to Exhibit C.
Okay, that is another police report. I'm sorry, that is another police report. What is it dated? Dated on the 12th. That's going to be dated for the 12th.
That's the one we just saw that was dated the 12th.
No, it should have been just one that was dated on the 9th. That's the one that should have been Exhibit B.
Okay, so we saw the exhibit for August 12th. If we can see the one for August 9th.
Okay. Well, that exhibit will is the police report stating that the children were placed with me by defects, and I was elected their safety manager.
All right, if I can go to page 4. Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Now you say you already saw the report that was.
Yeah, it was just up, the one from the 12th. Yeah.
Well, okay, that being Exhibit C, I guess I could start there or take off from there. That would be a continuation of Miss Shelling's harassment towards the children, being that on the 9th, she was told by defects that they were to be placed with me for safety, and she shouldn't return to their school or back over here to the house. Yes, she did that with the sheriff department on the 12th. You have that, so we can go ahead and move on to Exhibit D, if that's all right.
Okay. Madam Clerk.
And that Exhibit D will be the video that you just saw of my 11-year-old daughter. So you don't have to stay on that too long. But
Oh, I saw that. Okay.
My concern there is my 8-year-old not being able to report these.
Let me just interrupt for one moment though, because I think we're confusing or conflating issues here. We're here today just for the simple issue of she has asked for a 12-month protective order, and you are here to respond to that. This isn't this. I think you're getting a little far afield. So I want to talk about and give you a chance to respond to her allegations that you have harassed her and her family and her children via text messages and sending DFAX over and sending the police over.
Well, yes, ma'am. I'd like to respond to that. Any text messages that were sent on the days that my children were being harassed. What the witness for Ms. Shelling failed to mention to you is that her son that was chasing my son across the street was the same one that assaulted him that night. And on top of that, yes, I do criticize. I had something to say about it. I made no threats or caused any harm to anyone, but at the same time, we're getting harassed. We're bombarded with harassment and police visits over here at the door, back and forth, repeatedly, when she's already been told that that she shouldn't return. Now, as far as harassing text messages, Tunisia since 2017 has had a tendency to punish the children by not allowing them to see their father. So yes, we do text back and forth, and I do apply criticism.
Okay.
But as far as harassment, I don't just wake up out of the blue and start texting her. It would take for the police to come knock at my door and to upset my children again, before I would even respond. And to the text message that Miss Nadia Shelling read you, that was a plea to her to, please just mind her business and, stay to herself. The fact that she's repeatedly come over here with the police department, with her sister as moral support, to my address. I just wanted to make her aware that she had an address and that's what she needs to maintain her business at.
When was the last time they came over to your residence?
On the 22nd.
Of August?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and what happened on that day?
Again, after the sheriff didn't enforce the TPO, she sent the police department over here under the pretenses that I was violating the TPO in order to try to get me arrested. The police department contacted DFAX as well and contacted the sheriff's office to find out the details of the situation, and once again left the boys and left the children in my care.
Have you made any efforts to go to the court about a parenting plan?
Actually, the parenting plan is in my legitimation, which Judge Tangela Barry is handling. So yes, ma'am. So
you've already had a hearing on that?
No, ma'am. I'm waiting for Miss Shelling to be served, and I guess that's when we would get the hearing date.
Okay, so you have filed for legitimation.
Yes, ma'am, I have, and
that's did you do that?
August the 1st. Well, actually, I've started the process back in May, but due to new and recent situations that's been occurring, the lawyers had to redact and change things in the legitimation itself. So didn't actually get filed until the 1st of August.
Okay.
And yes, they were correct. We were initially waiting on the affidavit of poverty to be cleared, which it has been. So now it's just a matter of Ms. Shellen being served.
Okay.
And that affidavit, that legitimation is where my two sons also filed affidavits of election. And I can assure you, I didn't have to coerce them into any of that. They did it by their own free will.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else you wish to add to this?
Yes, ma'am. Well, I guess I'm supposed to show just cause why this TPO shouldn't remain, and the reason is because of concern for my children. Ms. Shellen stated earlier that I won't stop, and the only thing that I won't stop doing, Your Honor, is being a father. So, with that being said, I've caused no injury to anyone, caused no harm, and any criticism that I have text or conversation has been in response to protecting my children.
Okay. And do you have witnesses today?
I do, ma'am.
How many?
3.
All right. And you can call your first witness.
Okay, my first witness will be Javier Cheney. No, let me get him right quick.
Okay. All right. If you could unmute, please.
Hello?
Hello. What is your name, sir? All right. If I could get you to raise your right hand, Mr. Cheney. Do you swear or affirm any testimony is true and correct under penalty of perjury?
Yes, ma'am.
And what's your name?
Javier
I'm
Cheney.
sorry. How old are you?
I'm 14.
14. All right. And you've been called as a witness by Roger Cheney in this matter of a protective order that was filed by Ms. Tanisha Schelling. What do you wish to add?
I don't feel safe around my mother. There have been many situations where I get beat up and she'll make fun of me and just allow it to happen. This is the second occurrence of this happening, of me getting assaulted by one of my cousins.
All right. And have you ever seen your father harassing or intimidating your mother?
I had never seen my father put my hands or intimidate my mother. She's always the one coming over here trying to harass us.
How long have you been staying with your father?
I've been staying here since after May. I want to say May 16th. She put us out because before this, I gave up all contact with my mother, even if I was living in the same residence. I just stopped talking to her because she always wanted to find a reason to yell at me or find a reason to get me in trouble. It was really mental. I was always depressed when I was around her.
Okay. Anything else you wish to add?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. You can, yes, ma'am. You can go ahead and unmute.
Okay.
Keep it pretty limited, okay?
First thing is his name is Javier, not Javar. His name is Javier. And the second thing is I wasn't
This is not a time for you to testify if you have a question.
No.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Cheney. You can go to the other room now.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Roger Cheney, who is your next witness?
It would be
All right.
my oldest son.
All right.
One second, he's in the restaurant. He's coming. Okay. The judge wants to talk to you.
Please forgive me. Is your mom on your arm?
Yeah, she.
All right, good afternoon. If you'll raise your right hand, please.
Yes,
Do you
ma'am.
swear or affirm that all testimony you're about to provide is true and correct under penalty of perjury?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and what is your full name? All right, you've been called as a witness in the matter of a Tanisha Schelling versus Roger Cheney for a protective order. How old are you?
I'm 17 years old.
And what do you wish to add to this?
I wish to add that I wish to add to my brother's testimony that at the beginning when school was finna let out, when my brother got put out, she told my brother that she told me when she called me, she said that called her that he could really get out of her house, meaning he would put him out and to leave the house. And once he left the house and we got back home, my mother came in, she would have put me out despite me wanting to stay there until at least the end of the school year. And as you saw with the phone call, as you saw with the recording of my dad and my mom, she was she was taking our keys as well. She also managed to keep hold of our food stamps, not giving us any of those. And since beginning of summer.
All right, and have you seen your father threaten or intimidate your mother?
I've not once seen my father intimidate or threaten my mother in any circumstance.
All right, thank you. Ms. Schilling, do you have any questions for this witness?
Yes, I do have a question. So the first question is, so he never seen his dad intimidate me or harm me in no way the whole time that you've been living. Is that what you testifying to?
I am testifying to that.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Ms. Schelling. Thank you, Mr. Cheney. You are excused. All right, what's your next witness?
My next witness is Sonia Brown. Ma'am, she's not. I don't know if she's able to join the Zoom or could it be by phone call? But how could I get her?
Is she here in the waiting room, Ms. Broom or Ms. Goodman?
No, she's not, but
She
I
was,
believe
she
that
got-
was just Sonia's iPhone and we tried getting connected.
And what is the testimony that she would be providing? You're on mute, sir.
She will be providing supporting testimony as to the abuse of the children, of the boys, and as far as my, I guess, me not being safe or me there
Okay,
there
that
being
would
a need.
be for a motion filed for you, so that's a different
Okay.
matter.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Anything else that you wish to add, Mr. Cheney?
No, ma'am, not at this moment, not at this
All right.
time.
Ms. Schelling, you have rebuttal as you were given the opportunity of presenting your case first. Is there anything you wish to testify to in rebuttal?
Yes, I do want to put on record that my boys have seen him mentally and verbally abuse me. I want to say that. They was around way before we left him. I had videos from my first TPO when the boys was around and he was just calling me all kinds of B's and hoes in front of them. So it's kind of hurtful when they say that they haven't seen it when they did. That's the first thing. And is another thing that my second son, Javier, is saying that his name is Javar when that's not either. So it's sad that he have my boys on camera purging themselves for the court.
Ma'am, may I respond to that?
No, just 1 second. Is there
Okay.
anything else, Ms. Schelling, that you wish to add?
No, ma'am. All
right. And I have one question quickly before we move to the next part. Since May, what has occurred with Mr. Cheney directly towards you, not involving the boys?
not involving the boys. He's interfering with my custody. He's making my boys pick and choose which parent when it's not their choice. And he also putting his problems on my kids' plate and making it seem like his problems is their problems to fix, and it's not.
Okay. Now, there was one other piece of evidence that you had submitted but have not put up, and I believe that that's about a police officer. Is that correct?
Who, me?
Yes.
I have a lot of police reports. And he
No,
also
I'm not talking about a lot of police reports. There was one video that has not been presented into evidence, and it shows a police officer.
Yes, that's when he had the police come knocking at my door on Tuesday just passed, talking about doing a well check on Malcolm. That's the 7-year-old. And ever since, and what's keep happening ever since May is defect calls saying that I'm abusing and mistreating my kids when I'm not.
Okay. All right. Okay. Anything further?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And anything further, Mr. Cheney? I believe you had something you wanted to add, sir, and I'm going to give you a chance to do that.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. As far as my son perjuring himself, his name is Javier. I named him, so that's his name. And what was the second part? What did you just say? Ma'am, considering the abuse that's been taking place, I'm not harassing Ms. Shelling by sending defects. I didn't call defects in this matter. As a matter of fact, the counselor who she appointed at their high school is who reported this. So it's not me that's harassing her. Nevertheless, if there is a situation with my children and I perceive abuse, then I feel like it should be reported. So I want to apologize for that. But as far as this particular situation, I'm not the one that initiated it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, having heard the testimony presented today by the parties, and I'm not really taking into consideration heavily the children's testimony, I'm really basing it what I've heard from you two, as well as the evidence presented here in court and sent to the clerk's office in advance of the hearing today. I am denying or dismissing this protective order at this time. That does not mean that, Ms. Shelling, that you would not be eligible to request a protective order in the future if things were to change or worsen in some way. But at this time, I am denying the protective order. Thank you all.